listening to the Nerdy Reads podcast, a hipster goblin media production.
Welcome to the Nerdy Reads podcast. We read nerdy stuff such as sci-fi, fantasy books, comics, manga, and horror. We also discuss all other nerd things from around the globe. We have a fun one in store for you today. C.S. Lewis once said, one day you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again. And today we are hanging out in the Abbey for the day and discussing the book Redwall, a book that is near and dear to the hearts of many, and somehow we missed this one as kids, but thankfully we never grew up and we're old enough to enjoy fairy tales again. We also have an interesting item to kick off your summer in the New Stuff Cafe. There's a comic corner, some nerdy news, and much more. I am one of your hosts, Justin. With me is my good friend and co-host, Robert. What's up, bro?
Justin, what's going on, dude? As always, I'm excited to be back for another episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast. And right before I jumped on this show, I just watched the latest episode of X-Men 97. Looking forward to that crossover with the Optic Blast broadcast bros. Go check out episode number 3 from them, up now on YouTube and Spotify. And speaking of OBB, we have one of the hosts. As always, it's Sweet Baby Dylan.
Yo, what's up, fellas? I am super excited to be here as always. And speaking of OBB, go check out our latest episode, like Robert was saying. We have a fun time over there if you're into comics.
Sorry, dude. I didn't realize you were just cutting a promo for yourself and weren't like going to introduce yourself much at all.
This is like episode 50, 60. Like, why do I have to introduce myself? They know who I am. They know who I am. Exactly.
Wow.
Okay. Well, there you go. We were also very excited. Welcome back, our dear friend and expert on literature that features talking animals, Watson.
Hey, it's actually pronounced Toasty this week. It's a weird Slavic language. Like, I get that the spelling is weird, but
I mean, that's just your squirrel name. I get it.
Right. Dude, that squirrel, though.
That squirrel, though.
I got positive things to say about that squirrel.
Looking forward to hearing all about it. Robert, you got a question for us today?
I do, guys. In honor of Redwall, what is your favorite woodland creature from a movie or TV show? Let's start with Justin.
Man, I'm going with the fox from Disney's Robin Hood. He's the dude.
Who's solid answer. Dylan.
I don't really know a lot of woodland creatures off the top of my head, so I'm just going to go with the safe route and say Groot.
You know what? I will accept Groot as an answer, even though he's an alien. Watson, what do you got?
You know, I'm going to ruin it for you. I don't know. My favorite animal in general is a penguin, but we talked about that neither being wood nor land. I'm going to go with
they go on land every now and again.
The Canada goose. I'll spare you the Letterkenny references, but I've always felt a kindred spirit with any Canada goose that takes up residence on top of a building's roof and then torments everyone below them. I think all hail ye roof goose.
I don't know how I can follow that. Mine's Basil Baker Street from The Great Mouse Detective. Childhood favorite movie growing up. And I'll second Todd the Fox from Fox and the Hound. That movie holds a special place in my heart. Shout out Veronica. We had some answers from our community on Facebook and in the Discord. Guest on the show at one time, Virgil, threw shade at us for not mentioning Fievel. Hey, bro, make it here now known to the Nerdy Reads community. We respect and love Fievel the little mouse.
Yeah, dude. What's not to love about Fievel, bro?
No matter how far west he goes.
That's right, dude.
That's right, dude. And Secret of Nim was a popular choice for many of you. Justin, I believe that was one of your childhood favorite movies. We had a Bambi in there. We had all kinds of answers. I appreciate everyone who took the time to, comment. Let us know what your favorite woodland creatures from movies were.
Somebody threw Land Before Time in there to try to wreck us all.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yep.
They were in the woods and on land. I mean,
which is better for my goose. So,
guys, we don't do holidays of the day anymore, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. Happy Coheed Day.
Is it Coheed Day?
Yeah, bro. They released a couple songs.
Oh, nice. I did not know.
Bro, you're rocking the shirt too.
Yeah, of course.
My man wearing a Coheed shirt and didn't listen to the 2 new tracks already. You know they're 8 minutes long each.
I have to go for about 16 minutes. I'll be back in a minute.
I'm just gonna say this, dude. Go listen to The Joke. The Joke is the jam.
That's sick. I don't think they're actually 8 minutes long. I think they toned it back this time, but they still hit both.
Oh, dude, slappers. All right, guys, let's get into some book happenings. All right, you remember on episode titled Tomorrow, Ghost and Clyde. I don't know why we named that last part Clyde. I don't remember. But anyway, we covered the book Tomorrow on this show, which is a book that made a huge impact, not only on us, but this book has made huge waves everywhere. We were really excited to share the book with you, but we are also excited today because we're going to share with you that the book is being made into a movie. While we know this scares many book fans, you will be happy to know that Zevin herself helped develop the film adaptation, and she is an executive producer on the project, working directly with Temple Hill Entertainment to make this thing happen.
Yeah, it's awesome. That was one of my favorite books that we've ever read on this show, period. I think a movie can do it justice. Shouldn't be too hard. I don't know how much of it they'll change, but I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Absolutely. If you're going to make a movie out of a lot of the books that we've read, this one is definitely very, very doable. It's a cool book about people who are game developers. And so we encourage you to go check out that episode and, man, read that book if you haven't already. Next, we have Game Book Color. The unofficial Game Boy Color companion is out now. If you are someone who is very fond of the Game Boy Color or you collect classic video game things, you'll be glad to hear that Ninty Media, which is a company behind Switch Player and Ninty Fresh, has released this book celebrating the beloved handheld. This book was part of a Kickstarter campaign that launched in November of last year, and now can be purchased directly from Ninty Media's store if you want to go and get in on that project. According to the description, the book features a quintessential list of the best Game Boy Color games, as well as a more in-depth retrospectives on other topics related to the device. This includes a tribute to the Pokemon creators, a chapter on Link's Awakening DX, and a small section on the Analog Pocket. There are a plethora of writers and artists that worked on this project, and the prices vary, ranging anywhere from $39 to $96, depending on which edition you want to purchase. So if you missed out on the Kickstarter, you have a chance to jump in now and pick this one up. So be sure to go and check that one out.
Dude, this would be a cool future Nerdy Reads episode to cover that book.
Yeah. Absolutely. Art looks really, really cool. We've done a cool video game book on this show before. So this one looks very similar. It looks really, really cool. So go and check that out for sure.
Do you know if it talks about the time Nintendo trolled everybody? We were all begging for a Game Boy Color. And they said, okay, we'll give you a Game Boy Color. Here's the color Game Boy. And it was just, they colored the Game Boy, but the screen was still exactly the same. It was awesome.
I remember I had a Game Boy Advance when they first came out. I was super excited about it, and I bought Castlevania. I think it was called Circle of the Moon, launched with it. And I rushed home, and I was real excited to play it, but there was no backlight back in that day. So I turned it on, and the game was so dark, you couldn't even see it. So I'm like hunched over my mom's like lamp on the desk, like shining down on my Game Boy, trying to play Castlevania. Good times, dude.
Man, we've come a long way on that kind of stuff.
We really have.
All right, boys, you know what time it is. It's time for Comic Corner. Today on Comic Corner, we are talking about Superman House of Brainiac Special Number 1, House of Brainiac Part 2.5, an essential issue in the Action Comics Superman crossover, as Brainiac's secret history with Lobo and Zarnia is revealed. How did Brainiac create a bottled city in Zarnia? Who steps up to protect Metropolis after Brainiac's army leaves it in ruins? Will Lois Lane confront Perry White about his own secrets as he runs for mayor of Metropolis? And how is Amanda Waller involved in all of this? All these questions are answered in this critical issue that connects the DC Superman-sized event. Meanwhile, Bibbo steps up. With the heroes gone and the city in need of some champions, our favorite bartender organizes the community to save their beloved home. This book should be in your local shops now and will run you around $5.99, with variant covers running around $8.99.
I'm going to borrow a page from Dylan, like, no disrespect, but I cannot get interested in Superman at all on any level. Like, gotta be the most boring superhero of all time.
Man, I love how you just like said no disrespect and then followed it up with lots of disrespect.
In the whole description of the new Spider-Man that Justin just read, none of that was about Superman. So if you hate Superman, it must be a great time to be a Superman fan.
That's so true.
If you like Lois Lane and would you say Amanda Waller?
Yeah.
I have no reference.
And if you have your favorite bartender, bro, who apparently organizes a community event. So see, it's a Superman comic with no Superman, bro. You're in.
I'm in. I wasn't paying attention. This is my Superman comic.
I've got All-Star Superman and I've got the hardbacks of Injustice, and I think that's enough Superman for me.
Yeah, that's all.
Hey, bro, we may be doing a All-Star Superman episode here on the Optic Blast broadcast in the future. So
hashtag shameless plug.
A shameless plug. Lots of shameless plugs for that show today.
Can never get too many plugs.
Okay. Well, with that being said, give us just a minute. We're going to take a trip over to the New Stuff Cafe. We'll be right back.
What is Clyde? Because it's been bothering me ever since you said I don't know why Clyde's in the episode title. I'm like, why is it?
A cat in one of the books, right?
I hope that's what it was, dude, because I can't even find our Facebook post about tomorrow to see if we mention Clyde in the write-up.
The thing about all of our episode titles is that the last thing is normally some real, like, random, obscure thing that we say one time in the entire episode, and it really doesn't mean anything half the time.
So that sets it up, though. Like, if we're shameless plugging, this isn't we can't remember what Clyde means. This is we remember, and the first person to drop it in the Discord gets a free T-shirt or whatever.
I love you, dude.
We heard
Brilliant.
Robert will give you a used T-shirt if you tell us what Clyde.
I was gonna say, because it has to be a T-shirt that we own. It can't. You get a T-shirt that we've worn, and we'll mail it to you.
There you go.
You
on the screen.
Yeah.
You just get a T-shirt. You don't know what it is.
Welcome back to the New Stuff Cafe. We are so glad that you are here, that you're joining us today. We're going to talk about a list that was shared with us on Discord. But before we do, Robert, what are we going to be having?
Today, we're going to be having the Outshine Fruit Bar. It's mango. With the twist, there's Tajin seasoning. So this mango fruit bar is dipped in chili lime seasoning. Outshine promises no GMO ingredients, no high fructose corn syrup. They're fat-free, gluten-free, no artificial colors or flavorings, and only 60 calories per bar.
Outshine has never failed me. Every Outshine bar I've ever had has been great. Now this one, chili lime seasoning, I'm not sure about.
I could agree that everything from Outshine that I've had is delicious. I'm not a mango guy, though. So I'm a little bit worried about this one. I feel like there are 3 ways that it could go, right? It's not going to be mango enough. So I've got my mango Mountain Dew.
Nice.
I wish I would have known
I
that
realized with
existed.
mango when I bought it. That's how it tracks with me not being a mango guy.
Dude.
Or the tahini won't be hot enough. So I've got my habanero tahini.
Ooh, dang.
So kick it up one extra little fire cactus thing.
Bro, you just challenged Robert. Look at Robert's face. He's very upset about this because he likes to be known as the him when it comes to spice, and you just outspiced him, bro.
Oh, dude, I wish I would have known there was even habanero Tajin at the store. I'd have been dipping this bar in there.
Oh, it's good. It's not really hotter, but it is habanero flavored.
I think anyone who is actually a master in spice would know that.
Sorry for the crinkle in the microphone there.
It's all right. Dylan, I respect the call out right there, bro. There's a lot of flakes in this bad boy. Ooh.
Yeah, dude, mine's extra Tajin'd up. Look at that thing.
You know it's tahini, right?
Tajin What I say,
Or are you
Tajin?
doing a bit? Am I ruining the bit?
No, it wasn't a bit. You just said you're an educator. That's what you just did.
You educated me. That's right. All right, here we go. Skull, boys. Skull.
Let's go. I'm tapping out. That's terrible.
Tapping
That
out
tastes
for
horrible.
what?
That tastes horrible. I don't like it. I already don't like it.
The lime is freaking me out.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna eat this instead.
What is that? A Hostess?
Is that a chocolate
Cake?
banana?
No, this is a drumstick.
I ain't mad at this. Am I gonna eat all 6 bars in this box? Absolutely, I am. The next time I rush to buy some Outshine fruit bars, will it be this one? No, it will not. But
Dylan.
I'm gonna eat all.
Dylan, before you do that, take a second bite. I don't know why, but I feel like after you take the second bite, it actually tastes. I don't know. Try it. Do it, dude. Because I took
I don't
2.
enjoy the spice.
Not working for you, Dylan. What do you think, Watson? What do you got?
Give me.
Well, I'm not thrilled with it. I think initially I just licked it, right? All I got was like I bought this at Kroger, so it's mildly freezer burned taste.
Oh yeah, I got that too.
Shout outs to Kroger. Hope you don't get demonetized because I'll always trash talk them. But if you bite into it, I mean, it's a little bit like taking a bite of a Taco Bell and then a drink of some kind of mango persuasion. It's fine. It's about what it should be, I guess.
I want that Mountain Dew.
That's not bad.
I mean, I'll be honest. I feel very indifferent about this. Like, do I love it? No, not necessarily. If it was a hot summer day and I'm outside and someone handed me one, am I like throwing it across the street? No, I'll probably take it and be all right with it. But
Yeah, like I said, I'm eating all 6 of these.
I was kind of
it's
hoping
the
one of y'all
lime.
would love it because I've got 5 more that I'm not gonna.
Robert, take them from you, bro.
Yeah,
I will.
I'll drop it off at your work.
Oh, man, it's not something I'm like ever gonna buy again. But if you bring me 5 of them and Justin brings me 5 of them, I got 10 more Outshine bars to eat.
My
You're about
kid
to get
wants this.
Who wants it?
My kids are going to eat these. They
Dude,
already
please.
asked. They've asked for them.
We need a TikTok of them trying.
I'll make it real. I mean, I don't hate these. They're
It
not
might
bad.
be growing on me. I might be a hypocrite.
I know. I just every time I take a bite, I'm like, I like this a little more now. The part that throws me off is the lime. It's the lime that I'm not a big fan of, but everything else, like the Tajin and the mango, I'm cool with that. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna eat this whole thing while we're doing this, and it's tasting better every single bite, bro. Every single one. Watson, I
Get
feel
more of the mango and less of the tahini.
That's it. Less of that lime tahini. All right, guys.
Weird. I love tahini.
So here we are, gonna eat these spicy popsicles. And while we do, we're gonna talk about this Forbes top 30 list that they dropped. This was shared in our Discord by our good friend Atalanta Ash, who shared with us is their top 30 greatest book series of all time. And we don't have time to go through the whole 30 of these, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to just talk through these top 5 and see, who's read what. And also, do you agree with this top 5? There were a lot of books. I think, Robert, me and you were talking about this. Out of these 30, half, if not more, probably fit into this nerdy reads realm, I would say. A lot of sci-fi, a lot of fantasy books in there. There's a lot of books that we love that are on this list. And so we're going to go ahead and just kind of kick in here. Number 5 is The Hunger Games.
Given that this list is based off of like sales and cultural impact and all that good stuff, yeah, I can see The Hunger Games being on this list, especially if the movies plays a role into that. But yeah,
I feel like it has to a little bit.
It's got literary merit too. Like schools are teaching Hunger Games as a novel in their classes.
Yeah, I believe that was actually on my son's curriculum this year was Hunger Games before he went to honors. Yeah, I can't remember if it was before honors, but yeah, I know he had Hunger Games this year.
Have you taught Hunger Games, Watson?
I have not.
Not yet.
Mm-mm.
All right, here we go. Number 4. No surprise here. It's the Twilight Saga.
I feel like Twilight was the start of the romantasy boom. I feel like if you want a origin story for how popular romantasy is today, you look no further back than Twilight.
When me and my wife first met and she talked about reading, this is what she talked about was the Twilight books. So
was this when you first met or when you second first met?
Second first met. Yeah. We first met. I didn't even talk to her, bro. So number 3, we got the Chronicles of Narnia. That's a book we've covered on this here show. Had our boy Balaki Lockman, my man Robert, shoved the rest of that mango Tajin popsicle in his mouth right as we're getting ready to talk.
I think I've only read the first one and watched the movies. I haven't read the sequels.
Justin mentioned that we had Balake Lockman on that episode of Narnia. So if you ever want to hear some more Blake, check out the Optic Blast broadcast. And,
Oh my gosh.
If you want to hear even more of them,
episode 3.
check out the Molotov broadcast.
Hey, listen, dude. The Molotov broadcast was a great EP by a band named Ghost Bomb.
I love that EP, dude. Shout out to Secrets. Best song on that EP.
You're not going to plug Blood Eagle?
I love Blood Eagle, dude. That's my get hype song. Like if I'm down and I need to get amped up, I just turn on Blood Eagle.
Number 2 is The Lord of the Rings.
I mean, the grandfather of high fantasy. All the books I love kind of spawned from Lord of the Rings, right? So yeah, it's no surprise this one's on here. It's surprising it's number 2, but I guess when you're talking about sales, I mean, it's going to be no surprise what number 1 is.
Watson, can you guess what number 1 is?
Who put together this list?
Forbes.
I mean, it's got to be Harry Potter, right?
It's definitely Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Harry Potter's sitting at number 1. I'm a little like, I'm with you guys though. Like if I were to be making this top 5 list, I mean, Lord of the Rings is gonna be number 1 for me, dude.
I don't want to throw any shade at Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Don't know that it belongs in the top 5 of any kind of like best literature list.
Well, they
That-
preface
absolutely biggest cultural impact, sure, but other than that, I'm not positive.
this list is basically it's a list that contains books that had a significant impact on pop culture, people, and places. Is what the top 30. Some other series on here that we don't have to get into, but that are popular, like for instance, the King Killer Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss. It's on here at number 24. I would rate that way higher, and I've only read one book in that because I wanted to be finished before I read book 2. A Song of Ice and Fire, aka Game of Thrones, is on here. Goosebumps is on here. Another episode that Blake Lockman from Optic Blast Broadcast was on. Percy Jackson's on this list. I mean, it's good. The Dark Tower, Wheel of Time, you know, the stuff that you'd expect to see on a fantasy list is here. And then there's some stuff like 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey, inspired by Twilight. It was originally Twilight fan fiction, wasn't it?
That's true.
Twilight, in turn, inspired by My Chemical Romance, a band that formed and wrote their first album because of 9/11.
I did not know that.
That's a lot of history. That's a lot of crazy history right there.
Allegedly. I might be wrong. I don't have a fact checker on me. Depot, if you want to be the omnibud, you can.
I don't know if I can confirm or deny that. I mean, sounds reasonable.
We'll be right back. We're excited. We're going to be talking about Redwall here in just a moment.
Like, it says a lot for Outshine as a product that it can take something that I'm pretty sure is going to be gross, and then I eat the whole thing and like, maybe I don't want to give the other 5 to Robert.
That's the review right there, baby.
That's it.
Put it on the box.
Brian Jakes was born in Liverpool, England on June 15th, 1939. Along with 40% of the population of Liverpool, his ancestral roots are in Ireland. So Brian grew up in the area around Liverpool Docks, where he attended St. John's School, an inner city school featuring a playground on its roof. At the age of 10, his very first day at St. John's, foreshadowed his future career as an author. Given an assignment to write a story about animals, he wrote a short story about a bird who cleaned a crocodile's teeth. Brian's teacher could not believe that could not believe that a 10-year-old could write so well. When young Brian refused to falsely say that he had copied the story, he was canned a liar. He had always loved to write, but it was only then that he realized he had a talent for it. He wrote Redwall for the children at the Royal Wave Tree School for the Blind in Liverpool, where as a truck driver, he delivered milk. Because of the nature of his first audience, he made his style of writing as descriptive as possible, painting pictures with words so that the school children could see them in their imaginations. He remained a patron of the school until his death. He is also today's author of this book, Redwall. Robert, what is it about?
Before I jump into that, that may be my favorite author bio of all time. What a guy,
dude. I'm saying, dude. I was like, man, what can I cut out of this? I was like, no, I like the fact that it's kind of cool this dude wrote this story for a school of kids that were blind and tried to make it to where they could imagine it and get something out of it. I was like, man, this dude, what a guy.
Yeah, dude, what a guy, man. Well, Redwall is a captivating story set in Redwall Abbey and its surrounding countryside. The story primarily follows Matthias, a young mouse on a quest to recover the legendary sword of Martin the Warrior so he can defend his home against the evil sea rat, Clooney the Scourge.
Hey, this one here is tagged fantasy, young adult, animals, adventure, middle grade, and children.
Yeah, guys, and this book wastes no time setting up Clooney. Like right off the rip, he's described these big, tough, black eye patch, jagged teeth. He lost his eye in a battle with the pike, but the pike lost his life. He's got a staff with a ferret skull on top of it. He's Clooney the Scourge. The author establishes early on that Clooney's not to be messed with. They do a great job of setting up Clooney as a pure evil villain out the gate. What'd you guys think of him?
Team Clooney the Scourge. That's me.
So in Redwall Abbey, you're Clooney?
Clooney is a cool character. He's smart. He kind of, you know what, now that we're just talking about this off the rip, because he's respected as like a general and as some dude who's kind of smart and uses his wit to get an advantage over his opponents. You know who he reminds me of? The dude
Thrawn.
we talked, Thrawn, bro. He's Rat Thrawn, bro.
Definitely gets the most focus. I think even more than, we're pronouncing it Matthias. I'll commit to the bit. That's fine. Even more than.
How would you pronounce his name? I listened to
Matthias.
An audio. Matthias. Okay, that's probably.
Yeah, definitely before the A. But like, it doesn't. How do you pronounce a mouse's name? Like, it doesn't matter.
I listened to a sped up audiobook version and they all had really deep accents and it was acted out. It was something.
Gotcha. I would almost then like take your word over mine because if the audio.
I think yours is. I believe yours is going to be correct. I trust the teacher, the educator.
We're going with the educator.
Clooney definitely. I was stuck on whether it was Clunny or Clooney until somebody said, "Are you a Clooney or a loony?" And like that confirmed it for me. I was like, "All right, cool. I was pronouncing it right." But yeah, Clooney gets more character, not really growth because he doesn't change a ton, but he gets more character exposure than any other character in the book. Like it almost feels like he's the protagonist and everybody else is trying to stop him, which I appreciate as a villain myself.
I think a lot of that is because if you look at the Abbey side, the Redwall side, there are so many characters that stick around for a majority of the story versus the Horde side where it really is Clooney and then everyone else is expendable because most of them end up like even like, Red Tooth dies like halfway through the book or whatever, and that was like his right hand rat for the longest time. So he's really the only Horde character that is around, I feel like.
I agree. Also, was his name Cheese Thief or is that the Cheese Thief? He's there. He's like a little cunning little rat there up until the end.
That's true.
He was a cool character. And Matthias, right pronunciation this time. He's an awesome hero, dude. He's just the guy you root for. He has his quest to go get the legendary sword. There's like cool little riddles that he solves with his friend that I'm not even gonna try to say this guy's name. Thank you.
Methuselah.
Yeah, I really liked his story throughout the novel, and I thought the way the author went back and forth, like you said, Watson, I do think they give more time to Clooney than the creatures in the Abbey, but the narrative kind of shifts from like Matthias to Clooney on and off and on and off, and I feel like it works, getting into the mind of like the evil side and then getting to the mind of the guy on the quest trying to save his people, or in this case, not guy, mouse.
Yeah, it was funny every time where he would use a phrase that we would use man or person in, and they just dropped in some other animal.
Yeah.
My right hand mouse. This is a 2-rat job, like that kind of thing. I think it's cheesy and I love it.
I feel like this book is the right kind of cheesy.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I mean, it's about mice and rats. How can it not be cheesy?
Exactly.
Right.
It's definitely cheesy, but it's like good. There you go. Watson, you know what, dude? That joke went right over my head, bro, until just now. Good one. But yeah, it is a very like kind of cheesy story, like in that way. But it's there's so much charm to a lot of this. And like you said, going on quests for swords, all these different things, like there's this battle that's happening and people are trying to get the edge on each other. It's just like this nice fantasy book that I don't know. It's old school in a very cool way.
I agree with that, dude. I like how also, like, you know, Watson pointed out anytime we would use, like, you know, man or whatever, they use the animal. The animals in this book actually play to their characteristics as creatures, too. Like the foxes in the book, they were like sly and cunning and kind of playing both sides of the war. The snake could like freeze creatures and he had magic eyes. Mm-hmm. You know, little bits of flair like that of the real life natures of the creatures were nice for me when I was reading this book. And when I went into this novel, I knew it was a children's book from our Discord. I think this was a few people in there actually said that they loved it. It was part of their childhood growing up. And I read the 30th anniversary edition of this book. I went in with really low expectations because I'm like, this probably targets like middle-aged kids, solid good versus evil read, power of friendship, all that. I didn't expect baby's first Game of Thrones, man. I'd get hooked on a character, and that character's dead in 3 chapters.
Have you guys read Watership Down or whatever it is?
Nope.
Okay. Kind of had that kind of vibe to me a little bit because that's considered a children's book too, but there's also like a little bit of some dark ambiance to it to some degree. There's loss and all these kind of things that you experience in more adult type books that you don't expect so much in like a children's type of book like this. And that I got kind of some of those vibes from here.
I got a little bit of a Hobbit vibe from Asmodeus the Snake and Matthias when he went in there to get the sword from him. Like it gave me that feel of Bilbo kind of sneaking down to like prove he's a real burglar and then finding out Smaug's weak spot. Like the way that whole scene played out in the quarry kind of harkened back to that for me a little bit.
It seems like there's a lot of probably influence from some of those type of stories in this one too, right? Like the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit type of vibe here. Even when we were getting ready and preparing for this, a lot of people compare this a lot to those books in animal form, obviously. But yeah. And I like how the rats, they remind me of rats. Because if you think of rats in real time, they're pretty invasive and they're not like these like little cozy, cuddly vermin. They go in and they just wreck shop, right? And like you see videos of rats all the time, like killing pigeons and stuff like that. Like they just don't care. Yeah, dude.
He does. He sees videos like that all the time because of Nature is Metal.
Nature's Metal. Dude, we've talked about nature. Hey, that's another channel we've plugged on here multiple times.
This book is Nature is Metal in some of those death scenes. It's 100%. Right. There's some pretty cool death scenes in here. Most of them with Asmodeus are pretty gruesome. But yeah, I enjoyed this book. I think it is aimed probably primarily at younger readers, but the story was engaging enough for me as an adult to appreciate it. And I actually feel like my younger self missed out on something by not having these books
Yeah, I would
earlier
agree
in
with
life.
that.
Even as an adult, enjoyed it enough to where I'm like, there's 20 more of these? All right. I could do that.
I would read another book in this series tomorrow. We could just turn this show into the Nerdy Redwall podcast.
How about you, Watson? Would you read more of these?
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know that it's one that I would commit to for 20 books. I did really enjoy it. I feel like the only thing that it was missing, and this is absolutely a personal like flavor thing, is there wasn't enough magic.
Oh yeah.
There was like the tapestry could talk to you in dreams. That's it.
And then when the foxes were healing Clooney, they were kind of doing a little bit of it seemed more like
they were making like
voodoo type.
I kind of read it as like they were pretty much using poultices and like medicine, but then they were throwing in the like shamanistic dancing.
Yeah.
Because they were foxes and they wanted it to look good.
They were being cunning. They were like trying to sell that they're actually healers, and really they're just getting stuff anyone could get mixed together if they know the recipe.
Not a single fireball was launched.
There was a cool arrow shot though by that badger.
Really cool arrow shot.
Hey, dude.
Rest in power, cheese thief. our short king.
He was our short king.
It's so true. All right, guys, let's get into this lightning round. So we got about 4 or 5 questions here. We get 1 minute apiece. And so I'm going to go ahead and spit these off and I'll pass them over to somebody. Here we go. First one. In 2021, it was announced that Redwall was licensed by Netflix for a TV series. Do you think Redwall would blow up with kids today in 2024? Robert.
In a world where corporations are always trying to find new and interesting IPs to suck dry, after reading Redwall, I'm actually stunned this hasn't happened already. So I think it would do well today. I think it would bring in adults who love the series as kids. Those adults, the ones who have children, would introduce them to this series if they haven't already in book form. I could see toys lining the shelves. I checked before our show, and it doesn't look like there's been any recent news about the Redwall IP, but I remain optimistic for the future. I think it would do well.
Watson?
I'm not positive. I have kind of a negative opinion of things going like super viral among an entire generation.
Sure.
I think that as time goes on and as we get more and more streaming services, kids have access to exactly what they want at exactly any time. And I think that makes it harder and harder for any one individual new IP to break on. And what was the actual wording? To blow up, as one might say. I think it definitely could. I didn't expect Bluey to blow up like it did, but it did. So yeah, it's possible. I just don't know if it will. I hope it does.
What is Bluey?
What is Bluey? Oh, so this is Bluey.
It's a dog.
Bro, the fact that you had a stuffed Bluey right next to you blows my mind.
Yeah, that Bluey is it's a kids show, and it is kind of for the parents who are watching this kids show with the kids. And it's really good at that like 2-tier haha funny colors and look, they're kicking a ball around, but then also like that is an exasperated parent, and so is this guy. This guy not being me, obviously. I don't have any kids. I've got a dog and a cat. They're adopted.
So Magic the Gathering is releasing a set later this year called Bloomborough. Does reading this book make you want to return to Magic for this Redwall inspired set? Robert?
It doesn't. I broke up with Magic the Gathering for the best a long time ago, and Lord of the Rings couldn't bring me back. And as cool as Redwall's characters are, and as gorgeous as I'm sure the art is going to be on these cards when it drops, I can't see a world where I return to playing that game regularly. That said, I'd hit it up casually, like Friday Night Magic. You want me to donate $15, draft that set one time, look at some cute creatures on the cards. I'll do it once.
Watson, I know you still dabble in Magic. You going to buy Bloomborough?
Yeah, the question is specifically is does it make me want to return? I never left.
Right.
I did my leaving in like 2008 to 2014 or something, and then I've been real consistent in the last decade. Definitely going to pick up all 4 of the Commander precons, as I typically do with sets that when they come out. But I'll need to take a look at the mechanics before I buy a box. It actually, I wanted to read Redwall because of the Bloomburrow set, so it's kind of the opposite effect for me.
Oh, that's cool.
I remember you saying that because I remember in our Discord when we put the vote up for fantasy book, you said, "Hey, I'm going to vote for Redwall because of the Magic set going to drop." I remember that now. Yeah.
Yep.
I say for me, dude, I'm always interested in going back to Magic. Always. I never do, but I'm always interested in taking a trip back down memory lane. So, hey, if we're all saying we're going to do a Friday Night Magic for Bloomburrow, I'm in.
100%, dude. I'll go draft one time, but a regular player, I don't know if I got that in me anymore.
Which woodland creature do you want having your back in battle? Watson.
All right. Can I say Canada Goose again?
Yes.
It's the Canada Goose. And I'll tell you why.
Go ahead, dude. Hit us with why.
Item A. I've got a friend who is currently in a territory war with a roof goose. Who's losing. 2, have you ever seen a flock of Canada gooses flying over a building when it's on fire? They're trying to spread water on the fire to try to put it out. But you ever think about that? No. You only ever think about yourself. Canada gooses would never. 3, if you got a problem with Canada gooses, you got a problem with me, and I suggest you let that one marinate.
Do you call them gooses or geese?
For Canada gooses, it's gooses.
You don't call them Canadian geese?
Because if I'm going to hijack the podcast and make a bunch of Letterkenny jokes, then it's going to be Canada gooses. Those are Canada's gooses.
Robert.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and go with, and I'm going to butcher this like I butcher a lot of things. Watson can correct me. Is it Guisim? Guosim? The Guerrilla Union of the Shrews and Mossflower. That's who's going to have my back in battle. 50 of those dudes are going to come up. We're going to numbers. We're going to take people down. Me and the Shrews.
Do you know how big shrews are?
I mean, in this book, I don't know how big they are. I got confused on the size of things all over the place. Me too, man. I was confused the whole time.
The scale of anything in Redwall was unclear. Like there's one part where they talk specifically about the rats climbing a tree to go over the wall, and one of them gets scared of heights at specifically 16 meters. But a tiny rat or a person-sized rat would be scared of falling 16 meters, so it doesn't help. There's a horse pulling a cart, and it's big enough to have 500 rats in it.
Right.
That's it, dude. I got confused.
I think that's where the scale was for me, is because he does that right in the get-go.
So, like,
so it's not going to be a giant, huh?
But when,
but it doesn't matter if it's 500 people-sized rats. One horse ain't tugging 500. One horse ain't pulling 500 people across the place.
It depends on how much Riz the horse has, okay?
Hey, self-pause. I appreciate it.
So, yeah, dude. I feel like they're normal size. And then you had the mice that were the church mice, which I'm assuming they just lived in a church. Like,
what was their church for?
I mean, it wasn't their church. It was just a church that they lived in. So I'm assuming it was just a normal sized building.
Then the badger was sometimes described as being like on the level with the mice in the abbey. And in real time, when that badger just be a colossal giant to these things.
They said he was bigger though, or she or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
She picked up
is huge compared to the mice, I think.
But. Yeah, that's what I picked up on. She picked the whole table up, and they said this great giant oak table. She picked up and threw across the room.
Yeah, I was all over the place with the scale of the creatures, but I'm still taking the shrews.
Hey, bro, I'm going badger all day. Those dudes are brutal. All right, here we go. This is what I'm excited about. What would your rat name be? We know the rats in this book. Watson, your face is telling me something crazy is about to happen. But we know these rats had some crazy, wild names. Anything from Red Tooth to whatever, Clooney the Scourge. You had Shadow. You have all sorts of things. Watson, go ahead.
Oh, no. I don't want to ruin the podcast, y'all.
All right, Robert, go ahead.
I'm going to kick it over to Dylan first.
Hold on. Yeah, because it's funny because I was thinking about this whenever you were naming some of the like names of the rats because I didn't read the book. So like this is the first time I was hearing them. So I was like,
shocker,
man. So yeah, no, right. I was thinking, man, dude, Red Tooth. That's a good one. I was thinking, you know what my name would be? 27.
I'm afraid to ask why.
Listen, the average human has 32 teeth. I've had 4 wisdom teeth pulled. 27.
All right, cool. Well, now my rat name is Greasy.
Oh my gosh. We gotta close this up. We're done. We gotta put his fork in this. All right, guys. To close up, 3 words to describe this book, starting with Watson.
While I was preparing for this, I thought Lord of the Rings with mice. And for whatever reason, Lord of the Rings got 1 word.
You say
I'm an English teacher. I cannot count. I signed a legally binding document saying that I would never help a child with his math homework. But I'm going to go fable with mice.
Medieval woodland creatures.
I got critters gonna critter. All right, guys, give us just a minute. We'll be right back with some nerdy news.
Hit us, 27. Hey, dude, is Nerdy News sponsored by Optic Blast Broadcast this week?
Listen, Robert, Nerdy News is indeed sponsored by the one and only Optic Blast Broadcast. Every time you tune into an episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast, we go over some of the latest and greatest news of the Nerdverse. We're kicking off our nerdy news this week with with the sighting. If you've tuned into an episode before, you know we like our sightings over here. So this week we got the monster behind North Carolina toddler's wall. Boy, I said that probably sounded really weird, but I'm going to give you some more details on what this is. So there was a 3-year-old that thought there was a monster in her closet. It turns out it was actually a really large beehive that apparently weighed like over 100 pounds, and there was only like over 50,000 bees in there. And so basically what happened was like I said, the toddler thought there was like a monster in her closet. She's like, "Mommy, I'm scared." And then her mom was like checking it out. She didn't find anything. And then all of a sudden she was in the attic and she saw some bees. So they called up the beekeeper and, what was his name? It was like Beekeeper Kevin or something comes over and he like puts this little thermal thing on the wall and it just lights up. There's actually a video. I will throw the link under our on our news board if you want to watch the video. That's all about. It'll show like the thermal view of the actual beehive, but it's massive and there are a lot of bees in there. So be sure to join our Discord and go over there and check it out.
Yeah, we're buzzing in our Discord right now. That story's crazy to me, dude. That story's wild. Can you imagine your daughter's like, "Hey, I'm hearing stuff in the closet." And you're like, "Okay, monsters aren't existing." And then bam, 50,000 bees in your home.
I would way rather have monsters than bees.
Oh, dude, I read the article that Dylan's talking about. My favorite part of the article is the homeowners are like, there was $20,000 of damage done by the bees and our homeowners insurance wouldn't cover it. Because of course.
Maybe they know some carpenter bees who can help out.
Yeah, dude. Possibly.
All right. Our first official piece of news here actually comes from Nintendo. They have confirmed an announcement for a Switch successor. and it should be coming before the end of this fiscal year. And if you don't know what a fiscal year is, it's basically just how, like, it's not like a calendar year. It's basically like the company's financial calendar, essentially. So for Nintendo, their fiscal year ends March 31st of 2025, or like this current fiscal year that they're in. So they originally were planning on releasing the console at the end of this year, but it ended up getting delayed. So we're looking at possibly the earliest of it actually releasing in March of 2025. But the official announcement for what the successor of the Switch will be should be coming here soon. There's a Nintendo Direct that got announced coming up in June, but we probably will not likely hear anything about this new console, unfortunately. But I mean, I'm not much of a Nintendo guy, but I think it is pretty cool that Nintendo is, kind of going into their next generation of consoles. I know you guys are Nintendo guys, so are you guys hyped for this or no?
Super hyped, dude. I'll never forget sitting at a Qdoba with Justin. We're watching a Nintendo Direct on our phone. This is like 2 years ago. We thought a Switch 2 was going to be announced. We're sitting here watching so we can go next door to GameStop and pre-order as soon as the thing's over.
Dude. Bro, I forgot this happened, but all of this is true. Go on.
And the end of the video, we're waiting for the big announcement. It was like Metroid Dread, which no disrespect in my heart for Metroid or a 2D Metroid at that, but it wasn't a Switch 2. And we're sitting at this Qdoba. We're this sad eating our burrito and chips after that.
You can't be that sad then.
I mean, we had queso and chips.
I mean, Qdoba is the jam. So, but yeah, I'm so pumped for this. I'm ready for something new from Nintendo as far as hardware goes. I'm excited for a new system to see what they do with it. Graphic wise and all that stuff is cool, but Nintendo always does something wacky and innovative with their consoles. It's always kind of interesting to see what direction they go in. So I'm excited to see what they do with this. Can't wait.
Whether I'm excited is directly tied to whether it has backward compatibility. Dude, if I can stuff my Switch games in there, that's all I care about.
If you are currently a Switch player, if you hop on over to the Optic Blast broadcast, we talked about a Dark Knight version of a controller that you can get for it. So be sure to tune into that. Also, speaking of VR, we talked about the new Batman Arkham game that recently dropped. That's VR. So
the double plug.
Dude.
Anyway, we're excited for the new Nintendo console. Our next piece of news is Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. It is a new upcoming. I believe it's a show that is upcoming that from Star Wars, and it's a Lego show, unfortunately. But basically, the whole. I'm not a big Lego guy personally, but I will probably watch it because essentially what's happening is the world is falling apart and they're going to have to put all this stuff back together. And I'm obviously boring Justin with this, but it's okay. Listen, so we get Darth Jar Jar, and to me, that's pretty epic. But I'm trying to stay positive about it. I'm trying to look because Justin kind of convicted me. Justin told me that I have a lot of hate in my heart for something that I love so deeply. So I'm trying to get excited. I was there. I watched The Phantom Menace. I started playing Jedi Survivor again. I watched Rogue One and fell asleep again. But hey, I'm trying to get excited for Star Wars. I'm really excited for this Rebuild the Galaxy. I'm going to watch it. I'm excited for Darth Jar Jar. What do you guys think?
Well, first off, I think Watson just took some Tajin habanero straight up.
Bro, straight to the dome, bro.
Yeah, straight to the dome. Before we jump into what's hot, Dylan, I find it hilarious you fell asleep twice during Rogue One, but you're wide-eyed and ready to go for the Phantom Menace, baby. Here we go.
Robert, you know what time it is?
It's time for What's Hot. We here at the Nerdy Reads podcast can't cover everything. That's why we bring you something from around the world of books. This week, Book of the Month Club dropped their selections for May 2024. You can check our Discord for a list of all the offerings and a brief summary of what they're about. But for my personal selection this month, I chose The Return of Ellie Black by Emiko Jean. Detective Chelsea Calhoun's life is turned upside down when she gets the call. Ellie Black, a girl who disappeared years earlier, has resurfaced in the woods of Washington. But Ellie's reappearance leaves Chelsea with more questions than answers. And the great Stephen King said said, The Return of Ellie Black is a page-turning suspense novel, a shrewd character study, and a captivating mystery all at the same time. If Stephen King says it must be true. It's currently sitting at a 4.21 out of 5 on Goodreads, and it's tagged mystery, thriller, and suspense. And coming up next on the Nerdy Reads podcast, it is the Nerdy Reads May Book Club winner, sponsored by the Optic Blast broadcast. It's Ready Player One by Ernst Klein. Join us over a 2-episode span as we discuss Ready Player One. We will be covering chapters 1 through 20 next week. Hop on over to the Fable app to read along with us and add your thoughts to the discussion. We will air your comments on the show. You can also discuss the book in the Ready Player One channel on our Discord. That will go live Friday, May 10th.
Bro, if Optic Blast broadcast doesn't have like 1,000 plays after this is over, after this episode's over, I don't know what's wrong.
Hey, listen, you also tune into episode 4 because Justin and Robert will be on episode 4.
Oh, that's true. That's
Special
true.
crossover event.
There you go. A crossover event. I like that. That's what we're calling it. I love that. Guys, we had a lot of fun today on the old Nerdy Reads podcast. We tried some mango, habanero, Tajin, popsicles, and the more you eat it, the better it is. That's all I'm saying. I didn't like the first bite, but I like the second bite better. Third bite, by the time it was over, I'm a fan. I'll eat that whole entire box at some point. Anyway. Guys, we had a lot of fun. We had some nerdy news. We talked Redwall. We talked about the critters of the Abbey on today's episode. We got a lot more things coming up, like we were just talking about. We got a book club. It's going to be a fun one. Ready Player One. You want to know more about all of that? You got to keep up with us on our socials. Robert, where's that at?
You can find us over on Goodreads, Instagram, Facebook at the Nerdy Reads podcast. You can find links to join our Discord where you can talk books and everything nerd culture with us.
And you guys know that it would not be an episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast, not the Optic Blast broadcast, with the Nerdy Reads podcast without some advice from our very own sweet baby Dylan.
This is Watson's favorite part.
It really is.
That's why we put it at the end of the show.
Yeah, to make you all watch the full
Gotta
episode.
get that viewer retention.
Listen. Never do anything you wouldn't want to explain to the paramedics.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was just going to be, listen, never do anything.
Hey, Watson, man, we really appreciate you joining us again, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
Hey, we're going to have you back because Watson's a fan favorite. That's all I'm saying. Here at Nerdy Reads Podcast, we enjoy a good story. We believe that your story matters, so be good to each other and stay nerdy, our friends. Say bye, Dylan.
Bye, Dylan.
That was a good way to spin that joke, Watson. Bye.